The play A Jewish Joke spends an afternoon in the early 1950s with Bernie Lutz, a very successful Hollywood screenwriter. He discovers that his name has appeared in a publication called Red Channels. That means someone at this publication suspects him of being a communist, or at least a communist sympathizer. He discovers that his employers in the movie industry, fearful of being accused of supporting anything smelling of communism, read Red Channels. If your name appears there, they are very likely to want to have nothing to do with you. But he also discovers that he can clear his name and save his career if he testified against his screenwriting partner, Morris. It's a good story, a strong story, but I'm afraid my first reaction to it was negative. Haven't we seen this story many times now? On the other hand, I don't object to someone revisiting the Trojan War or the Wars of the Roses or the Civil War. Are we still at the point where the McCarthyite Red Scare hysteria is just far enough away from us to be yesterday's news, but still close enough to think we've learned all we can from it? Because A Jewish Joke is quite well done by playwright Marnie Friedman and playwright and actor Phil Johnson, who plays Bernie Lutz. It is a one-man show with all the limitations of the form, no give and take with another to help you build a scene. Talking to the audience supplies some compensation. Bernie says he talks out loud to himself all the time, but that's obviously just the playwright's way of justifying talking to the audience. Even better, Bernie talks to other people on the phone. He talks to them a lot. He responds to them, and they, we can tell, to him. The writing cleverly makes sure we know what we need to know. And when he can't talk on the phone to L.B. Mayer, the head of MGM, because Mayer won't take his call, Bernie knows he's in trouble. We think people talk on their smartphones a lot. They have nothing on Bernie, with his black landline phone cradling the ear and mouthpiece and the spinning dial. It rings a lot, and it creates a climactic suspense when it doesn't ring and still doesn't ring, with the call Bernie is waiting for that will mean salvation or damnation. The phone sits on a desk with a chair, and a coat rack holds the tuxedos Bernie and his partner will wear to the premiere of their new film tonight, if it isn't canceled now, and the new mink stole Bernie has bought for his wife to wear, a metaphor for all that he won't buy, the life he can't lead if he's blacklisted. The rack, desk, and chair make up all the set in A Jewish Joke. Why Jewish? Bernie is very obviously Jewish, as were more than half of those blacklisted. Anti-Semitism? How could that be when the Jews run the entertainment industry, don't they? And why joke? Bernie writes comedies. He keeps stacks of jokes on his desk. When things get too tense, he reads one of them. They're familiar territory. Johnson is very good at all Bernie does, very intense and totally convincing. Director David Ellenstein no doubt helped, and costume designer Peter Herman has given Bernie just the right suit, with voices of the period from sound designer Matt Lesko-Wood. Nathan Schrader keeps the lights on. Maybe A Jewish Joke doesn't shed any new light on the period, but is a moving and sympathetic experience of one man's dilemma in that period.
Yes, I agree with you about that, and I agree that the performer was very good, but the compression of the timeline was more than I could believe.
Just too much and too little.